Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Pisces for January 2016. Check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com, or click on the link below this video to see more about my new astrology blog and to see more about my programs, including Shine, which is my 28-day virtual coaching program, which is intended to help you transcend the challenges of the stars and create your best life. So what's going on in this alleged new year? If you've been listening to my videos long enough to have listened last January, then you may remember that I don't really like to acknowledge January as a new year. It is not the astrological new year. It is not energetically a new year. And this year specifically, even more so because of all of the backwards energy that is occurring due to several factors. So we'll talk about all of those details as well as some things specific for Pisces. So January 5th, we have Mercury in retrograde. It will start out retrograde in Aquarius and then it will retrograde back into Capricorn. It will stay retrograde until January 25th, and then the shadow period afterwards runs through February 15th. The shadow period beforehand started on December 20th. So we have from December 20th to February 15th a full Mercury retrograde cycle. And if you've been following Mercury retrograde for any length of time, you know that this can often be associated with delays, obstacles, communication breakdowns, transportation challenges, impediments to the natural flow of things. But I have a different viewpoint about Mercury retrograde that I have had built within me over time. I have Aries rising, so I'm by nature just kind of on full throttle all the time. So this lesson, even as an astrologer, took even longer for me to really get. And there was something that inspired me yesterday that I want to describe that goes along with how I'm putting out there for you to reframe this retrograde, because the whole month of January is in this retrograde energy. And beyond, and before then, and once it gets past, it's going to come back again. So there's a homeschooled child close to me who is 7 years old, and he said, in the absence of having to get up and go run to get ready to go to school and drive to school and all of that busy scheduledness, his life isn't like that. So he said to me, "Tomorrow I think I'll watch the motions of the sun." And I was completely blown away by this. And this is the lesson of Mercury retrograde. When we are in a space that is unhurried, that is not as scheduled, that is more quiet, the simplicity in life, the paying attention to the natural rhythms are so much easier. Modern society has been so overwhelmed with more information being marketed to wherever we are. Everything faster, everything bigger, everything more. And Mercury retrograde gives us this beautiful time to go backwards, to go quiet, to go internal as this counterbalance to being on full throttle 24/7, 365 days a year. So this month is very much marked by this taking time to watch the movements of the sun, rather than forcing agendas. So back to my idea of this, or feeling that this is not really a new year. The astrological new year starts in March, when the sun moves into Aries, when the personal planets start moving into Aries. That's the spring, that's the burst, that's the fresh new start. And this month is just not carrying that energy. So if you're putting things off until January to start in the new year, my recommendation, if you're watching this before January, is to get some things going in December. There's some pretty good opportunities to push some things through that by the time January comes, you'd be continuing rather than launching. And it's better for that kind of energy, like a continuation of, or a laying groundwork, or a going back over things you already started. It's just not that, promised energy of, let's get our New Year's resolutions going. I don't ever want to discourage anyone from doing self-development work, because that's my thing. But it's not, you can start doing work for yourself anytime, but it doesn't carry the energy. It doesn't match the energy of New Year. So if you know that beforehand, then maybe you won't be as hard on yourself if you lose steam with your resolutions shortly into January, or if you start your resolutions early, which is one of my recommendations. So there are a lot of other important things that are going on in January for everybody. But there's also some things specific for Pisces. So let's talk about some things specific for Pisces. When we look at the individual horoscopes for a sign, we look to see where the planets are gathering in what house. If you were to look at an astrological chart, a Western astrology chart, it looks like a pizza pie. And it has 12 slices. And these pie pieces or slices are houses. They're fields of experience that we have as humans. And as the planets move around through each of these fields of experience, they bring the energy of the sign and the planet they are, the sign they're in and the planet they are, to the field of experience that they're moving through. So when the personal planets, which are the ones that move more quickly, like the moon transits, the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, that's what makes every month a little bit different. You know, there's different energy with these personal planets moving around, and that's how the horoscope is so changeable. There are longer term transits with the outer planets that stay in one place for a really long time and bring these long themes. And sometimes we talk about those in horoscopes also. But what makes everything really active and fresh in a horoscope is where these personal planets are moving. So the 11th house is a field of experience that rules friendships, groups, teams, humanitarian efforts, the internet, social media. It also rules long-term dreams, like really big dreams that you have. So all Pisces placements are going to have some emphasis on the 11th house in January. Some of you will have the Sun and Mercury there, earlier placements will. The rest of you will have Mercury there, for sure. So either way, early, middle, and late placements have this energy active in the 11th house. And Mercury is really busy, even if it's in retrograde. And when it's in retrograde, it stays in a house longer, so it brings more emphasis on that house, because it's not just whizzing through, it's starting to go through, and then it's coming backwards, and then it's going back again, so it's spending an extended period of time in that sector of your life. So this is a strong focus. So, some good things to do while you have activity in your 11th house. One is to focus on your long-term dreams or goals. Like really give credence, really give time, really give focus onto the things that you really want, the bigger dreams. There are two types of dreams. There's these long-term big dreams that we have, and then there's the dreams we have at night. The focus isn't on the area of the dreams at night. It's on the ones that we have that are these big dreams. So anything that you can do around that energy, reassessing, reconsidering, because here we bring in the Mercury retrograde into this, those are really good things to do. Also, finding camaraderie in a team, seeing yourself as part of a team or working as part of a team or on a project with a group or something involving other people. And this can be totally virtual. It doesn't have to be in person. It doesn't have to be live. But it's just the energy of your piece of something put to a greater whole. This is the house of community. This is the house of efforts that are for the greater good. So all Pisces has strong energy in that house. Middle and later degree placements are still going to have strong energy in the 10th house. And the 10th house has to do with your individual place in the world, your singular individual place, different than being on a team. And this is your career, your work, your life purpose. What is it that I'm supposed to be doing or want to be doing? If you really want a thrill, the timing is really good. I think the timing is always good to focus on what I'm about to offer. But especially when you have something going on in the 10th house, studying your north and south node is a fantastic idea. The north and south node placements in your chart, and you can start to study these very deeply with a book called Astrology for the Soul by Jan Spiller. This is one of my Bibles. It is yellow, with the pages are yellow. I take it with me everywhere. And I don't do any readings without really focusing on what these north and south nodes, how they manifest, how I've seen them manifest from looking at charts. So this is a really good time for you to be asking that question, like, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Is what I'm doing satisfying that greater peace? And you see how this links into the long-term dreams. So it very beautifully matches with the other energies that are going on in the chart. It's building this story. So you can study your North Node, which is your highest expression in this lifetime. It's your Dharma. It's what you're supposed to be doing. And then you can study that in relation to the South Node, which is what you came in with, the good stuff, the talents, the gifts, but also the karma, the challenges, the obstacles to being on your path. They're wound up all in these placements of North and South Node. So in the book, she'll show you how to find the sign of your North and South Node, and you can study them at length. And if you want to go deeper, I recommend that you run a chart with a North Node in there and see what houses your North and South Node are in, because that will add a deeper level. So anything around the topic of what you're supposed to be doing, your career, acknowledgement, recognition, people seeing you, people respecting you for your work and the value that you bring with what you're doing. All the Pisces placements have Venus in the 9th house, and the 9th house is the house of, well, before I tell you what the 9th house is, let's talk about what Venus does. Venus reminds me of my grandma Marge. Again, if you've been listening to my videos for a while, occasionally I'll bring my grandmother, my Italian grandmother up, and she is this very affectionate, energetic woman. And she was smallish, so as a child, she would always have to like reach her hands up to me, to my face. And so she would see me, she would come running up to me, she would grab me by the face, kiss me on the mouth, give me a meatball, give me some money. And that's what Venus does. Venus brings, you know, that nourishment and that sweet spot and that love and that harmony and that energy that my grandma Marge would bring if you met her. So that is the energy that is in your 9th house. And the 9th house, this little sweet spot, this little Italian grandmother who wants to give you kisses and money and wonderful things and possibly even romance, because this rules love as well, all types of love, is in the 9th house, which is the house of Sagittarius, which rules foreign or international relations, travel, different countries, different cultures, education, teaching and learning, school programs of any kind, accredited or not, churches, philosophy, any place of higher learning or higher studies. It rules new experiences, things that expand you out beyond your box. It also rules the different languages, and it rules publishing and writing and sharing information and teaching and creative resources and solutions. So the energy of Sagittarius is one that looks down on everything like being on a cloud. So if you're up at a higher level looking at things, you can see solutions that were not part of the problem. You know, Einstein said that we can't solve a problem with the same line of thinking that we created it with. So you have to come with a different line of thinking, and you've got this energy activated for creative solutions coming in. All Pisces placements also have strong energy in the 8th house. The later placements still have a little bit of this in the 7th, but going to the 8th house, and there are some similarities between the 7th and 8th house in the way that they're both partnership houses. Mars is like our little border collie. That's what I always describe Mars as. I have border collies, and Mars always reminds me of that. So wherever it is in the chart, it brings that activity, that busyness, that gung-ho, hypervigilance to wherever it goes. And Mars has a 2-year cycle, so whenever it's in a certain area of your chart, it hasn't been there for 2 years, and it's not going to be there again for around 2 years. So it's like, it's the things that you find yourself gung-ho about. If you're like, wow, I'm really hot on this right now. You look in your chart and you see Mars there, and you're like, ah, no wonder, I have Mars there. And it's just like throwing focus and vibrant energy into something. So this is all about relationships. Some of you will experience it just as the actual focus on relationships, cooperating with others, partnering with others. And some of you, most of you will experience it with the Scorpio aspect of relationships, because it's the 8th house, which has to do with relationships with resources. So that's kind of like a step up into the relationships, where it's like 7th house is relationships one-on-one, the relationship between the people. The 8th house is the person and their resources, and the other person and their resources merging themselves and their resources. So this house rules credit, debt, funding, marriage, family money, spousal money, sweepstakes, inheritances. Also, it's the unseen realms. It's the, I call them the whatnots, the little things that talk to you, that You can't really see, but they're guides, they're angels, who knows, whatever they are, they're unseen forces. The eighth house rules that too. So this, it's also the house of mysteries, the deep unknown. And there's quite a few aspects this month with Pluto, and Pluto rules the eighth house. So it brings even more focus on this eighth house in general, but specifically for Pisces even more, where it's like the mysteries become more known or light is shed on them. It's a really great time to get to the bottom of something. If you're researching something, if you're trying to have a breakthrough about something, this is the kind of energy that you want. It's just really investigative and really just going really, really deep into the source of things. So the first aspects with this are the Sun making a conjunction to Pluto. And then there's going to be more aspects involving Pluto. At the end of the month too, we have this long, prolonged Mercury interaction with Pluto, because Mercury goes to make a conjunction with Pluto, then it's retrograding, so then it's hanging out near it longer. Then as it goes direct, so it spends like about 5 days in a really strong influence rather than just passing right over. So the end of the month, also the beginning of the month, really the whole month is just really strong with this, going backwards with the Mercury retrograde. Pluto going deep, we have Jupiter going retrograde, which is more going backwards. So I see this month very much as a time you can be very productive, and life does go on. Life doesn't stop when this energy is going backwards. You have things to do and you can do them, and you can proceed with business as usual in many ways. But there's also this other aspect of taking the time to watch the movements of the sun, to be at one with the rhythms that are natural. So that's a very strong theme for January. It's not the time to launch new things. It's not the time to begin afresh. It's the time to hunker down and go in and deep and be disciplined with steadfast analysis. There's lots of energy in Capricorn, which is a very practical, earthy sign. But again, this is a retrospective energy. So you're laying a foundation for future movement, but the future movement is in the future. It's not really now. So I can't see what's going on in your chart. If you would like some assistance with that, you can go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. There you will find more about what is in store for you. I'm not known for my succinctness. I'm wordy, right? So in my blog, my new blog, I have a nice need to know for each of the signs that just give you bullet points of what you need to know for each month, so that you can summarize the longer descriptions that I give you in the video. So you can go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on my blog, click on Astrology blog. I do write about other things too. You can also check out my personal coaching packages, and you can check out my Shine program, which is a 28-day virtual coaching program that's available on a sliding scale. And I am so excited about this program. It's not a new program, but it is a very exciting program. It's one that allows you to move through and clear out the blocks, the self-sabotage that cause the transits to bring weak links up in your life and make life more difficult. So if you feel like the stars are moving against you instead of you moving with the movements of the stars, then something like my Shine program can be really beneficial for you to help excavate. And this is a good month for excavating, we just talked about that, the sources of inner saboteur, that come in, and just as soon as you're about to get somewhere, the kibosh gets put on it seemingly from the outside, but it's really from the inside. You have to clear it out on the inside so that you can step into your next level of experience. So check it out, anniehelpsyou.com. I hope you have a wonderful January, even though it's not technically a new year to me. If you're seeing it as a new year, then Happy New Year, and I'll see you next month. Bye.